it is Madison's Madness here. I'm Madison, of course. Today we are going to talk about a really exciting topic, NCI stores, what they are, how to find them, how they can be a really helpful tool to use for remodels, and so much other stuff. So make sure you watch this video because you are going to need to know all of this information. And even if you think you know it already, there is some new information that you might not know. So watch this video all the way through and we will figure it out. All right, so the first thing I want to go over is, what does NCI mean? All right, so the actual definition, I'm going to read it so that way I don't get it wrong, is Dollar General is expanding its non-consumable initiative, which is where the NCI comes from, which consists of a new and expanded assortment in key non-consumable categories, including home, domestics, housewares, party, and occasion. So that is the actual definition, and that is where the term NCI comes from. For those of you wondering, well, why did they call it NCI, or what is she talking about when she says an NCI store? That's the definition. For others who don't just want the definition and they want to know what actually an NCI store is, here's what it is. So an NCI store is going to be a store that is already remodeled. So when stores are remodeling, they're going to be turning into an NCI store. So when you walk in, you're probably, not always, but probably going to see a big home sign, and they're going to have two straight aisles of like vases and cups and, house stuff like bins and storage and comforters and blankets and bathroom stuff and rugs. It's basically just more home decor items. So that is what you're looking for. Now, sometimes in stores they won't have that big home sign, but in most of them they do. Some of them are kind of like partial home stores where they'll just have like little bits and pieces here and there. Those are a little bit tricky. But they are still considered home stores. All right, guys, so as we are entering our home store, this is kind of what you'll see. Now we're entering our seasonal aisle, so this is our Easter aisle. But towards the back, we are getting to our home store. This is how you'll know you're in a home store. There's our big home sign store that is usually in all home stores. Of course, not in every single one, but majority of them. Now, as you can see, there are two plain aisles. One side is like home decor. The other is blankets, throws, pillows. We got the comforters, the sheets right there. Over here, we have some rugs. We have some storage containers. Now, over here, we have towels, bath stuff, bath sets, and bath storage stuff. Now, in home stores, usually the kitchen aisle is on the back wall. Now, they do still have end caps, so don't forget to check those. Now, here are your cups, your mugs, your plates, and whatnot. On the other side of this aisle is where your home decor stuff is. Don't know why they have floral here, but there you have it. But they are still considered home store. They're just like partial home stores. But the main ones do usually have that big home sign and all that stuff. So you'll know when you're in one if you're in an NCI store. Now, why this matters? This matters for multiple reasons. So I'm going to try to explain this because when I first started, it was a little tricky for me too. So when I put out the penny list, when I give y'all the penny list, I give you the regular penny list, right? Every week before Tuesday. Now, up until now, it has just been the regular penny list, which you find at your regular stores. Now, there will come a day where I will say NCI penny list. Now, what this means is that these items that are a penny can only be found at NCI stores. That is what that means. Now, the regular penny list can also be found at NCI stores. So I'm going to repeat that. So if I say, hey guys, we have an NCI penny list, you can only find them at the NCI store. But if I say, hey guys, we have a penny list, you can find them at NCI stores and regular stores. Now, you have a better chance of finding them at regular stores versus NCI stores, but you can still find them there. And I hope that makes sense because it can be a little confusing. But you really do need to know where your NCI stores are, what they are, and we're going to learn it all in this video. So bear with me, even if you're feeling a little confused right now. I promise you won't be by the end. So let's start with how to find an NCI store. Now, of course, you can always drive around and, your local DGs, you can always drive around and walk in and, if you see what I'm telling you or what I've showed you or visuals or stuff like that, then it's an NCI. You can do that. But what you can also do is go to your Dollar General app. Now, I am going to throw up some visuals and I'm going to look at my phone so that way I can tell you what you're looking at, and I'm going all right along with you. So you can go to your app and you're going to go down at the bottom where it says more, okay? Then you're going to go to stores right there where it's circled. And then you're going to hit the DG Finds button. Make sure it's checked. And then you're going to hit apply, okay? So what that is going to show you is all the Dollar Generals in your area that are NCI stores only, okay? So this is an extremely helpful tool for if I say, hey, there's an NCI list, or hey, check your NCI stores. That way you know exactly where they are. Now, one thing that I would like to point out, some of these stores on this list are not actually going to be NCI. And I know some of you probably are saying, well, then what's the point of this, Madison? I'm going to tell you what the point of it, because actually it's a very good thing that they aren't NCI stores. This is a helpful remodel tool, believe it or not. So let's say you click on a store and it says NCI, right? You go to the store and it is clearly not an NCI store, meaning it still has a bunch of clothes and it doesn't have much home decor, no vases, no home sign, none of that. So it's not an NCI store. Well, guess what? It eventually will be. So this is a store that you need to watch, and you need to keep watching and putting in keep watching the items in your list for it to drop down. Now, I don't know when it's going to remodel. I have had stores that I have been watching for a year now that have said they're NCI and they're still not NCI. So it could take a while. It's not going to be instantaneous, but it is an extremely helpful starting point to helping you find your first remodel if you were unsure before how to do that. So that is so exciting. So that is why it is an extremely helpful tool as well, for those stores actually not to be NCI. So it can be a little frustrating if you're out and you're generally looking for an NCI store to find your pennies, but also really helpful to know that it's not an NCI store, and you need to write the stores down that aren't NCI and just make a little list in a notebook and just keep checking them every Saturday, y'all. Just keep freaking checking them, okay? Because you don't want to miss that remodel. I'm telling you, you don't. All right. So now that we have a little bit better understanding, another thing is when you walk in to a store, let's say that you walk into a store that it said it was an NCI store, but it's not, okay? And you walk into a store and you happen to see all these 50% off tags everywhere, and you see, 2 storage bins outside, 2 big containers sitting outside, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Well, what the heck is going on is that you just stumbled upon a remodel, my friend. So that is why it's also great. I really, really, I'm not going to say that I do. I absolutely do. I completely advocate for Dollar General road trips. I think they're extremely helpful for multiple reasons. You need to know which stores are NCI and which stores aren't. And sometimes half of the remodels that I have found, I have stumbled across just by taking a Dollar General road trip. And I just think that it's so important to do that for multiple reasons, and finding NCI stores and which ones aren't and which ones are, or walking in and seeing 50% off tags and your big storage building or your big storage units outside is a great example of why I think that they are so important. But if you can't do that, that's another reason that this tool is so important. Because it helps you not have to go out. You know, you can see which ones are NCI if you don't want to go investigate yourself. Now, another thing about NCI stores is they kind of have a little bit of a different system. It's not, now, yes, they do still have like some like of the same, like, you know, color coded stuff, but a lot of times they do Clovers. So I have a visual of like what I mean when I say Clovers, because I know that confused some people when I showed it in one of the videos that I recently made. So I'm discussing that now. So a lot of time with NCI, it'll be like a pink clover or like an orange clover or something like that. That's always going to be an NCI. Clovers are geared towards NCI. So that's another reason that it's really helpful to know where your NCI store is, because if I say orange clover penny, you're going to want to know where your NCI store is to get to that orange clover. You see what I'm saying? See why this is so important? So NCIs, basically, I'm just going to go ahead and like go over everything that we just talked about, because I know it was a lot of information. So an NCI store is what we call a home store. It is a store that has all of your home decor, your vases, your organizing stuff, your bedding and things like that. Okay, so that is what we mean when we say an NCI store or a home store. Now, these home stores have certain lists that certain penny lists that only apply to them, okay? But the general penny list that I put out applies to the NCI store and the regular stores, okay? So just make sure you get that clear, because that's very important. Okay, so now that we got that covered, there is a tool on the Dollar General app to find your NCI stores. It is very helpful. So if you're unsure how to find your NCI stores, or you don't know where one is, you need to go ahead and follow the instructions that I just showed you with the visuals on how to find those. Now we also went over something really exciting, which is this is a great way to find your first remodel. Now, full disclosure, it's not always accurate, okay? It's more of a tool. It's more of a guidance thing. It's more of a starting point. It's not 100% accurate. So don't hold it fully accountable. But what I will say is a great starting point. So we went over that if it says in that app that it's an NCI store, and you get to that store and it's not an NCI store, write it down in a notebook and keep an eye on it, because eventually it will be an NCI store. So that is NCI stores in a nutshell, everything you need to know about them. Now, we also went over the Clover system, where they have clovers, versus dots, not versus, but just in addition, whatever you want to call it. So that is where those clovers come from, because I know a lot of you had questions like, what's a clover and all that stuff. So clovers are from the NCI store. So now you know that if we say green clover penny, that you need to go to an NCI store, and now you know how to find them. So yes, we are learning, guys. Don't worry, I had to learn all this too when I started. But this is all really important, helpful information that you're going to want to keep up here in your noggin, because it's going to make you way more successful at penny shopping. And I always say knowledge is power. So the more that you know, the better you're going to be at what you do. Which is why I think that it's so important to just keep every little piece of information that you can, and, watch all my videos and just learn the most that you can. Because it will make you better at it. So if you're getting a little frustrated that you're not getting the big hauls, or you're, wanting to get better at it, just keep watching the videos and keep learning, because that is what's going to make you better. It's what made me better. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. That is what an NCI store is. I hope this I hope this helped you so much. If you have any questions, please put them down below. I will do my best to answer them. Have a great night or day, whatever it is for you.